Brought to you by DIS, keeping companies connected with cloud-based solutions. Come on, City.
Stuart, can I start by getting your reaction to the news that's come through in the last hour or so about the agreement with the Premier League and their rescue package for the EFL, specifically £250,000 at the very least for Bradford City Football Club. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just in off the training ground, so I don't know it in depth. I mean, is that a loan or is it a
grant?
Gift? A grant. Okay. Listen, at this time, every penny's needed. So naturally, it's good news, and it's that's a positive because nobody wants to see. I think we're in an okay position, so we've saved a little bit and we're ready to go in January. But that does naturally, it helps every club, and when people are saying a week, 2 weeks ago that 10 teams will go to the wall if we don't get any help soon, then obviously it'll help them clubs as well and help everyone. So obviously it's a positive, yeah.
Yeah, and more generally, steps closer towards normality, I suppose, when we see fans back inside grounds last night as well. Of course, only 2,000 and proportionately, but it just feels like the picture's becoming a little clearer.
Well, yeah, I was at Carlisle last night, and it seemed to be more than 2,000 in ground, that's for sure. But I think on 2 points on that, it's good. It's a bit normal. Like you drive into a game and you can't get a car park spot, and there's people, hot dogs are being sold. There's a buzz about the stadium, and listen, there's no doubt at our level. I mean, I don't think 2,000 in Anfield or West Ham is going to create any atmosphere, but certainly last night. And I won't want to be, and I would never say we shouldn't let fans in, but it certainly is an advantage, and a big advantage to have supporters in your ground, because in the first minute of the game the ball's gone down the line, there's a nudge, nothing in it, crowd uproar, the referee gives a free kick to Carlisle, and but take nothing away from Carlisle, they were lively, they got the crowd going, the crowd mixed with them, and it was a good atmosphere for their point of view, something that I'm envious of, if I'm honest. I think just looking back to our game the other night, and I watched it back, and at the time I thought there's probably a shout for a penalty there, but when the boy goes into the back of Clayton, and I've no doubt if we'd had fans in the ground, we'd have probably, it's only a natural reaction from the referee. If people shout, referee, when they're 50-50. So there is an advantage, certainly, but it's obviously it's a positive. I just, sooner, it can be a level playing field for all clubs, especially our level, because, 2,000 and a bit over in Carlisle still had a good little atmosphere.
I hear they were cheering back passes to the goalkeeper and the like in that game. I mean, just what was it like for you as an on-viewer to have that atmosphere around you?
Yeah, well, I was stuck right in the corner in the main stand with a lot of supporters round, and trying to do my notes and stuff like that. But it was a feeling of being at a proper game, and but there's no doubt. The players got a huge lift from it. Having said that, as I said, Carlisle were very good from the first minute and got the crowd lifted as well. If they'd have been flat, maybe the crowd had been flat, but it worked in you get a corner or a free kick or a long throw in, which they've got, then the crowd are right behind them. They get a good applause coming off, a good applause back on the pitch. It certainly makes a difference to you, definitely.
He used the word envious. I was going to ask you how you feel as a manager of a football club who is currently still in Tier 3 until that is decided otherwise. Is it an overwhelming feeling of envy, really, that you can't have that at Valley Parade?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. I mean, again, in our stadium that holds 25,000, but even 1,000, just a little bit of noise and a bit of, if you get a corner or a clap or whatever it may be and get behind the lads that are out there, would, but yeah, it's good in the main, naturally. That I was watching Cambridge, I don't know if it was the owner this morning, saying it's costing them money to open up last night. They've got to have double the stewards for half of the people. The people that come in are already season ticket holders, so they're actually losing money. But every football club, I'm sure, would take that little bit of a hit to get fans back into the stadium, naturally, just to give them a help. And as I said last night, having said that, Cambridge got beat home to Mansfield, so it's not a gimme that you get fans back in, you start winning games. But from my experience last night, it certainly helped Carlisle, and they merited the victory, and should have won by a lot more, to be honest.
So, having been at the game, then what did you make of Carlisle as a team, and particularly in their own performance against Salford?
Yeah, well, they were up. Kenny went up on Sunday. I watched the game in the cup against Doncaster. Listen, what are they in the top 6, and deservedly so. They've got a lot of energy, vibrancy, playing with confidence. So they were good. There's no doubt about that. But it's our we just concentrate on ourselves on Saturday, mate. Put the best, most competitive team we can out on the park. They're carrying threats, and ex-players. Amari Patrick was very good. Danny Devine played last night and did a steady job. Joe Riley came on at the last bit. Callum Guy was playing. A lot of energy there. So we've got a few ex-City players in the ranks who no doubt want to come down and do well here.
When you say you want to set up competitively, how are you numbers-wise? Is the situation any better at all than it was previously? Just
exactly same group that we had the other night, same squad. We've only had 7 training today. The rest of the boys, we've got to be careful even in training, take any more knocks. But the lads who played on Tuesday have had a recovery, a strength session. So we had 7 of the boys out training today. But that's what it is at the minute. I mean, the one thing, there's no more injuries from the weekend or the other game, so that's a positive. But nobody returning as yet, unfortunately.
Certainly positive for Bryce, I imagine, because there was a worry, wasn't there, at first?
Yeah, he's okay. The little knocky, it was mainly, we've got to steady him in with his hamstring. Same with Cookie with his injury, but I just had the physios in there. That's Cookie now at 60 and 70. Bryce is up. Although Bryce does do a lot of high intensity running, it'll be hopefully going into the game that we ain't got to set a stall out knowing Bryce has to come off after an hour or Cookie, because you bring in 2 lads who are influential to your team, and you're having to do that is challenging as well, especially if they're both playing well. But as I said, the experience we've had with Zelly, with Rhys Staunton, with Evo, with other people, we've got to stick to the science.
You gave us a flicker of optimism after Tuesday's game when asked about Lee Novak and the potential of he maybe being able to get on the bench. What are your thoughts now? You've had a couple more days to reflect on that situation.
Again, probably too much of a gamble, if we're honest, for 20 minutes. And as much as I say to the physio, it will only be 20 minutes. Well, and then you get injury time, 25 minutes, whatever. You sat there and you've got Novak on your bench and you want him to get him on. But if we're honest, he's been out, I don't know, a number of weeks, 6 weeks, and he's not done a full week's training. He's done 1 bit of training today. So it's probably too big a gamble, if I'm honest, just for the sake of 20 minutes. As much as I would dearly need him, because even in his training session today, it was quality. He leads the line well, and he looks after the ball, and he can finish. But the selfish part of me would say I want him on bench. But realistically, next week, without a game on the Tuesday, I'm just looking at the board, gives us a week where he can train fully. I think Chris the physio was telling me, Brendan Rodgers, for example, and there's a lot of managers, don't allow any players to come back unless they've had, at least Tuesday, Thursday, Friday training under the belt, and that's when they've only been out 10 days. So Novs has been out a number of weeks. So unfortunately, and against what I'd like to do, but I totally get it, I think we'll leave him and let him have another good training session tomorrow and over the weekend, and then join him fully next week. But he's champing at the bit, and he's ready to go. But he's still well ahead of what his scan results said. So that's another. If he was on level with it, we'd be maybe more. But he's a few weeks ahead of where what the level of the scan reported. So, and again, I keep saying we've got experience of what happens, the likes of Rhys and Zelly. So we just got to stay mindful of that.
How much are you battling your own instincts with all these injuries at the moment, particularly with Lee?
Yeah, of course. Listen, I mean, I'm fed up. I'm sure you're fed up asking the same questions, which you have to do. I get it. I'm fed up of giving the same answers about the injuries. We've still got 7 out. It can be frustrating. It's challenging, but hopefully I'm not at a stage on Saturday where I'm knowing I've got to bring people off after an hour. So that's a little bit more helpful.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tuesday night in isolation. Yes, okay, a defeat, but a positive performance in the main until the second half, and the guys seemed to tire a little bit. I think you said after the game as well. But do you take belief from what you saw and for in the main, the first half in particular, the performance that the lads put in?
Yeah, undoubtedly. Obviously, I've watched it a couple of times again. It was probably no different to what I imagined. With a better team first half, and again, I'll go. They're a good, strong side who were on a good run. So it was always going to be a challenging game. But the goals, when we score, they have a flurry straight up. Not even a flurry. They have a chance to hit the bar straight after that. But other than that, we've been really solid. As I say, I think the penalty's 50-50 on Clayton. Didn't really say much at the time, but when I watch it back, it certainly goes in back of him, and it's. I think with the crowd behind us at that side, we would have got it. But that's Ben should score. Poddy's header should score. So we're definitely the better team first half, and then for them to get a goal like they did with the deflection. I mean, as I said before the other night, it's a tame shot that will go into Richard's hands. But it really give them a lift and hurt us. But what has been happening, and we keep emphasising to the players, is straight after that, they scored on half time, and with the 2 minutes injury time, they could have scored again. Richard made a good save, and then granted to the players to get a great block in. But we could have been going in, should have been going in 1-0, we could have been 2-1 down. So we come out second half, and we were a little bit, as I said before, a little bit spooked by it. They started better, but it was a case of we were just going to get some bodies on as we were tiring. To take a point and be happy for a point, but unfortunately in that space of time the long throw come in and they did us on it. So it was a real cruel one to take. Again, watching the whole game, certainly not a result we deserved. Spirit, endeavour, second half, maybe through a little bit of not confidence, or not, we're not certainly not brimming with confidence with the run we've had, but a little bit of with the changes we made, etc. So but we need to, the first half performance was very strong.
Yeah, can you take a lot away from that, and can you use that to communicate with the players and give them something to build upon, build a base?
Yeah, but it's about consistency, because I go back to, we go down, we play well against Exeter, and then put in a really poor performance at Salford, and then we go and put in a real good shift, everybody together at Orient, but don't get anything from it, and then go and put in a real disappointment against Oldham. So we need a little bit more consistency. We need players playing at the best a little bit more often, to get us, some points and get us up and going. But we've got a little bit more time on training field tomorrow to work through what we want to do, and we'll be ready. We'll be organised, but we'll like I say, we'll be ready to go. And we just, we've got to keep believing that there's win just round the corner.
You mentioned the result for Mansfield at Cambridge last night. A surprise result, maybe, given the context of the table. What it means is that you go down to 22nd now. I know you said on Tuesday you're not looking at the table. How hard is it for you as a manager and for the players to not get drawn in by what's happening in the table?
Yeah, of course. We I know we're in the lower end, bottom ends of it, of course. But as I said the other night, we can't do anything where we are at the minute. We obviously got to look to improve and get out of that area as soon as we can. But the league doesn't finish on Saturday. We've got 30 odd games, and it's not being blasé. We know we need to start picking up points naturally. But where we are at this moment in time can't affect the confidence and the nature of how we go about our business. Of course, we're all hugely disappointed to be where we are in the table. We want more points. We want to start climbing up, and a couple of wins will help with that. But if it takes a month, 2 months, whatever it takes, we will get there. But naturally, sooner that we can do that and start getting a victory and build a little bit of confidence, get players back in the group, and start looking up the table rather than what worrying about where we are. But we are in a position at this moment in time where it's concerning for everybody naturally. But as I said, the league table, the league doesn't finish on Saturday. It's not his last game. We've got a lot of points to play for, and as I said before, in the coming weeks, months, we'll be stronger. and hopefully that'll show in performances and certainly in points.
When you look at results like that, Stuart, do you think that you're due a result like that yourself? You know, the way that the football gods work at times?
It'd be nice, but listen, you don't get anything given. I'm sure Mansell went down there and worked extremely hard, and, you know, as we did at Orient, as we have done in a lot of games, and maybe not got just rewards, but can't feel sorry for ourselves. We've got, again, a look at the game the other day, the deflected goal, the possibly good call for a penalty, which we haven't got, but tight things. We just need them little tight decisions or tight little bits of luck to go our way, but you make your own luck, as you say, work hard, which we will be doing. We'll be organised, we'll be, you know, having total commitment, and that's what we need to see, and we need to keep going. It's difficult when you, as an individual, you're not playing at the best of your game, or certainly as a collective, you're not where we want to be, but it's a mentality thing that you've got to make sure you just go out and focus. Want to be a good teammate, as we always say, but first and foremost, make sure your performance is above us 5 out of 6. Let's try to get 7, 8 out of 10s, and let's get more of us playing like that, which will give us more opportunity to get a result.
Go well on, Stuart. Go on Saturday, Stuart. Ian.
Cheers, thank you.
Stuart, when you say like the players looked a bit tired the other night, do you think some of that is because they had conceded? You then start to feel the tiredness, whereas if you're winning, they probably wouldn't have noticed it.
Yeah, good point. Mentality is a big thing. You know, you don't see anybody winning all the time. And I said that, and when I look back at the game, I've got to also look at the opposition. As I said before, I've taken, you know, they've had a really good start. They're a strong side, good mentality about them. They get the goal just before our time, and they come out and, you know, they were a lot better than they were first half. But I think that was because we nullified them and we played well. And as the game goes, we didn't start great, and the balance of the game was ebbing in their favour. And unfortunately, I say they get that goal. But if we'd have come off with a 1-1, we'd have thought it'd been a real sterling effort. But yeah, a little bit of everything, a little bit of lads. But I think mentally, as much as physically, sometimes it can affect you.
As you say as well, 30 games still left. I suppose for fans, it's a strange thing, isn't it, that we're very nearly at Christmas, which is traditionally when the league sorts itself out, yet we're such a short point into the league this season. Yeah,
well, I'm just looking now, we've got, 7 games in December, so lots of points to play for there, but yeah, we've just got to, each game, put the best performance in we can, start getting a few points and start moving up the table.
Cheers, good luck on Saturday.
Cheers, thank you.
You were saying, Stuart, obviously about not getting too fixated with the table as such. Obviously, perhaps some of the younger players, is it a case of sort of telling them not to? Because, you know, young lads, you're looking at Twitter, you're looking at Facebook, blah blah blah. Yeah. You see the league table thrown down, it's on Sky.
Yeah, obviously it's not nice, but it's not something I'm going to speak to them and sort of draw attention to it. We just got to focus on the next game, the next chance to win 3 points, young or old. You know, sometimes youngsters play with no fear and maybe just go out and don't think about it. But listen, it's not an area of the table we would have hoped to have been naturally, but it's where we are, and we can only change that by putting in strong performances from now on. But yeah, I would suggest anybody, you know, regarding the social media, it's not going to be much positives on there at this moment in time, understandably, of course, but hopefully we can spin that round in the next few months.
As I say, I mean, you know, say you see other results elsewhere and you think, oh, that's not done us any favour, but you got to balance it by the fact, as you say, you've got, I think, 32 games left. It's, you know, it's crazy how much the season's still to go, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, and as I say, we look to be strengthening as we in the coming weeks, coming months. But it's all right saying that. We've got to get on with it now. We've got to, you know, scrap and fight, which they did the other night, for every ball, every point, every goal, everything. And once you can get a result and maybe knit a couple together, bit of confidence grows. But we need, you know, consistent performances to get that, and you know, that's what we need. We need on Saturday, as I said, against an informed Carlisle side. But we've got to go out and you know, play in a positive manner like we always try to do at home.
So with the performance the other night, you know, there's a lot of encouragement, but ultimately frustrating to come away empty-handed. Has it been Has it needed much lifting of the group, or were they pretty bright today, considering, it was a real kick in the teeth, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they know with me, they can't do with long faces and, doom and gloom, because, that's a negative vibe and a negative mentality. And, I don't expect them, as I said, to come in skipping and jumping and doing cartwheels. But what's gone's gone. Yeah, it would have a big kick in the guts, as was Orient the week before, with the effort that they put in. But it's, again, I keep going to mentality. The players can't change it. I can't change what happened the other night. Yeah, we were a little bit unfortunate, the deflection, etc., etc. But we've got to go full steam ahead on Saturday and just give everything you've got. And when you come off the park, look your teammate in the eye and say, yeah, I might have not been great on the ball or whatever, but I got on top of my opponent or whatever it may be.
And you were saying earlier about, the Carlisle, the number of familiar faces in that lineup. I mean, it's good to see the likes of Danny Devine and Amari, players who probably didn't sort of had chances here, but didn't sort of have a really regular run, and they've obviously getting an opportunity elsewhere.
Well, Danny's not played much this season. I think it was his first game the other night for a long time, but he's been in and around it, and he put in a sound performance. Little Joe Riley obviously was injured when I was here, and he understood. Amari was a one that, when we brought him in, and he showed glimpses. He's filled out now. We knew he was quick, but he's playing with a lot of confidence. You can see that in his play, and he's doing well. So, and obviously Callum Guy gives him what he gives him. Bundle of energy, gets round the park, real, terrier for them. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll all want to come back and do well, as you always do when you go back to your old club.
And Dean Furman as well.
And Dino, yeah, I was just leaving as Dino was coming on actually last night. I'm watching him in the warm up, and he still does everything. He's a good professional. He's in his mid-30s now. He's been about and been back over at South Africa, but everything he does, you can tell he don't mess about. 15 minutes in the warm up, everything he was doing spot on, encouraging the other young ones. And as I say, good professionals in your dressing room when you're not even playing. Are worth the weight in gold.
Brought to you by DIS, keeping companies connected with cloud-based solutions. Come on, City!